Awesome. I'm here with Tristan and Martin of Young Bombs. They've been
What's
producing together
up?
for
What's
10 plus
up?
years. I'm super excited for this one. And I really just want to start by getting a background. Like, how did both of you guys get into music in the first place?
It's a good question. I personally grew up with a lot of music in the house. My dad was a drummer. My sister was like a classical singer. There was just always music in the house. Like my dad's legit license plate was Dr. Jazz. It's so dorky, but so yeah, just always growing up around music. I got on the drums pretty early. And never like formally took any lessons, but just really kind of picked it up over the years and then started joining bands in high school. And long story short, one day the band I was in opened for Tristan's band at some like youth center when I was like 18. And yeah, I thought Tristan's band was super good. Mine was just like
We
a
weren't. We were terrible, but go
yeah,
on.
but it was cool. I was obsessed with like Blink 182 and stuff, and I thought they were so cool. And that's kind of like the sound they were going after. And I remember mine was just like a really edgy, like punk rock band. And I had lit my drum set on, like my cymbals on fire for the performance. And Tristan was like, "What the fuck? Like, who is this guy? I need to talk to this guy." So we exchanged each other's numbers after the show and just got chatting music, and we ended up jamming, and you know, had a lot of common interests musically, and just bonded as humans. So yeah, we ended up really just kind of clicking. And I guess Tristan, how did you grow up with music?
I just always loved music. I played band, like I played the trumpet in the band when I was in school, and then played piano as a kid, and then I eventually switched to guitar, which is what I kind of played in rock bands growing up. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I just loved music, and I just wanted to find people I could do it with. And like Martin said, when we ended up meeting, it was like finally I found someone who's kind of on the same page as me, who wants to write music, who wants to like really take it seriously, and like, you know, fuck college. Let's just see how far we can take this thing, which is not good advice. Okay, I'm not promoting not going to college, but we were young and we were like, fuck it, let's just like see what happens. And it's pretty crazy that, we're now in our mid 30s and we've been doing this together for this amount of time. Like, it's, it's wild. I think it's been what, 20 years plus that we've
Like
been
since we've
writing
met
together.
and just
Yeah.
making music, it's pretty
Yeah.
wild. It's
In
pretty
one
wild.
project or another. Yeah. And then Young
We
Bombs.
actually, yeah, so we actually started an indie rock band that did pretty well. Like we won the world's largest battle of the bands. We beat out like 8,000 bands around the world, and it was pretty cool. Things were starting to heat up with that, and then classic egos, and there's so many. When there's four people in a band, it's really hard to get the cohesive dynamic down, and there was just a bit of an inner turmoil there, and we split up. But following that, Tristan and I were like, "What the fuck are we gonna do?" He had got a laptop, and we started figuring out, okay, well, we need to make money, so let's start learning how to produce in like many different styles and genres, and get into jingles. Like, let's Charlie Sheen this. So we actually started doing that, and we landed tracks in like Pizza Hut ads, like like a NASA commercial. I think I didn't know they had commercials. Maybe they're playing in space, but um, we got some of that going, and then that kind of helped also hone our skills in like a variety of different styles and sounds. So once we felt comfortable enough, I actually was on a trip visiting a buddy in Sweden that had just moved there, and he had this like burnt CD in his car, like when that was still a thing. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? He puts it in, and it's Avicii, but no one knew who Avicii was yet. It was some like demo, and it was Seek Bromance. I was like, holy shit, this is the future. Like, this is so good. And so I showed that to Tristan as soon as I got home, and we really just like dove down into this like electronic dance thing, because we had been into like Daft Punk, that kind of stuff, but like not this like Swedish House Mafia stuff that was coming out of Europe. So we caught the bug, but it took us a while to kind of figure it out. We didn't know anyone making this kind of music, so it was just like YouTube tutorial after YouTube tutorial, and yeah, we just kind of caught the bug, I guess. Just fell in love with the music, um, and that kind of led us to Young Bombs. Um, yeah,
That is kind of crazy that you guys met and were making music before you even really knew what EDM was, right?
yeah. Well, we came from
Yeah.
a band background, right? Like
Yeah.
Tristan plays guitar, I play drums, and now because of production, we both kind of dibble and dabble in various instruments. Like I can
Dibble and
play
dabble.
guitar. Yeah, yeah. I can, I can play some guitar. We both play piano. Like it's kind of our skill sets evolved. Like we're not great at any of them, but we're
Yeah,
good enough at
we
all of
suck
them.
at everything. We're just good enough to get by at every of
Master
them.
of none.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much master of none.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I'm impressed with that ability to realize you need to make some money. And then knowing that you can do it through jingles. How did that even work? How do you
Well, okay, so to begin, we had no fucking clue. So we literally went around Vancouver knocking on doors, like not residential doors, like advertising.
Imagine, imagine residential doors.
Excuse me,
Everyone's
sir.
like,
Yeah,
"Get
do
the
you want
fuck
a
out of
jingle?
here! Get off my property!" Like shotgun to the
Yeah,
van.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, like advertising agencies. Like because there's quite a few local ones in Vancouver that do big projects like IKEA and shit like that. So like we started just knocking on their doors, literally being like, "Here's a business card. Call us if you need any work." And they never called us. Only a couple called us, but it was enough to get the ball rolling. And once we started doing a few of them, some of those clients were returning to us, and then through another buddy that just happened to be doing jingles, got us hooked up on some uh like a royalty free music site that just dedicated to these kind of little jingle songs, and he was making like crazy money doing it, and we're like, what, like what is it? How is this happening? And we gave it a go, and they signed us onto the website, and that kind of like got us through the early years of trying to like get Young Bombs going.
Mhm. And
Hmm.
so oh, go ahead. Oh no. So during that time, you guys did you ever have to have like a real job, or were you able
Oh
to?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because in the beginning, it was like one job every like couple of months for a couple $100. Like I was working in an office downtown. I was landscaping at one point. Tristan's had various jobs as well. Like it was a grind for sure. Music's never a reliable paycheck.
No,
No.
unfortunately.
Mhm.
Awesome, man. And then can I just hear an intro to how did Young Bombs start? Because I'm assuming that's not the name of your band, right?
Mhm. No.
Of the band that we had before.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm assuming it's a totally separate project, right?
Right, right. Well, funny enough, we actually started another band with a friend of ours. We were a trio for one day. He came up with the name Young Bombs, and that was the name of the band. And then we broke up, and we were like, "Well, that's a good name. Can we keep
Yeah.
that?" He was like, "Go on."
Yeah.
So then we just hijacked the name and then used it for our duo. And then when we started doing dance music, I think 2014 was when we felt comfortable enough to like put music out, like to various managers, record labels. We just started like going on Facebook and like just finding like manager emails, and then we were like, all right, let's blast this guy, let's blast that guy. And then luckily for us, we hit up the Chainsmokers manager, Adam, sent him a demo, and he was like, this is really good. Do you guys have any more? And we were like, yeah, of course we do. And we had nothing. So
I literally like got on my
Aaron
bike and
got on
rode
his bike and
his
rode over
house.
to my house, and he's like, "We got to make another song." We're like, "Shit!" So we like smashed out another song, sent it to him, and I think we did that like 2 or 3 times until it got to the point where he was like, "Let's hop on a Skype call. I want to bring you guys on." Remember Skype? Yeah, me too. Um, and then we he brought us on, and the next thing you know, we were throwing songs on SoundCloud. So we were kind of going by this like one a month kind of thing just to build like a following. You remember the hype machine days, like around 2015, 2016. It's
Yes.
kind of where we like dipped our toes and started like getting into the music scene. And then before we knew it, we had like an agent in like, I don't know, I think off our fourth remix was when, things started really taking off. And then, yeah, so I don't know. At first, we didn't really know what we were doing because, again, like we were saying, we were just kind of figuring out how to make music at the same time. But yeah, yeah, and then it all led to here.
Mm. So, how did you get that early initial success on SoundCloud that you're making these? I'm assuming mostly remixes and releasing them. Was it like thanks to your manager or your agent, or was it also?
Well, in the early days, absolutely. Like they definitely were instrumental in helping us like come up with that plan. Like we're gonna go on Hype Machine, and like literally we messaged every blog under the sun to be like, listen to this, to try and get the song onto Hype Machine. And yeah, absolutely. And then, but it was just a matter of us initially trying to find free kind of bootleg remixes that we could do and build enough hype off of those to eventually tip the scale where like other artists with originals wanted like to commission us to actually like do their remix work for them. So that kind of happened. Then we started taking on the official remixes, and then from there, I think we did like 50 of them before we got our first record deal,
That's
something like that,
crazy.
wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was a
Yeah,
lot. It was too many.
it was too many.
People were like, stop remixing and put out originals. And we're
But that
like,
Yeah.
was the plan. Okay, that was the plan though. We definitely wanted to have someone to want to listen to them when they
mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many
But
of
yeah,
those? Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry, no, I was just gonna say, but yeah, no, we didn't put out an original until 2018, I think. So we
Mm.
definitely waited a few years.
A long time. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Um, how many of those were bootleg remixes, and how many of them were like official, where someone asked you to do? Or
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. I'd say maybe, do you
Like,
think 50%, 50-50?
no, I would
No?
say almost a handful because it was more so in the earlier days. Because after that, they were mainly officials.
Right, yeah.
which is
I mean,
crazy.
yeah, I guess because a lot of our favorite ones are bootlegs that we really wish we could put on Spotify, like our Billie Eilish remix,
Yeah,
our
of
Post
course.
Malone, our Khalid. I could go on, but yeah, unfortunately, I just don't think that'll ever happen. Hopefully, there's a day where they let bootlegs come on. So I don't know. I'm praying
You
for that,
never
but
know.
yeah.
Awesome. And what was that initial success like? Like, I'm assuming your band wasn't like super successful, but then all of a
Mm.
sudden you start to pick up this traction. What did that feel like?
Yeah,
Um,
it's
I mean, we drank a
exciting.
lot when we'd go on stage.
Yeah.
Funny story, when we started, I think our third show was opening for the Chainsmokers, obviously with the management connection. It was in Montreal for 4,000 people. And at this point, like we kind of had the production down, but we didn't really know how to DJ. And they were like, all right, guys, like 5 minutes and you're on. And we're like, oh shit. But they had this like little table in the back right behind the stage with like a vodka station. I'm not even joking you. So Martin and I just took like 6 shots each. And then we were like, okay, the nerves are gone. Here we go. And then we hopped up on stage. And I think after that, we were like, okay, this is the scariest it's ever going to be. It's only going to be easier from this point forward. Because we basically didn't know how to DJ and we pulled it off somehow in front of all these people. Then we were like, just high fiving at the end. We were just like, nobody messed up,
Yeah.
yada yada yada. But yeah, that was like the early days of like calming the nerves down. But I don't know. I think we kind of got into it naturally just because we had such a experience playing in bands back in the day.
We had
That
already been on stage and stuff like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, definitely. It's yeah, it was fun though, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, exciting.
Yeah.
And you guys, like you said, made remixes for like 4 or 5 years before you even released original music.
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
did
Hmm.
how did that switch come along?
Yeah. I think it was honestly just to start as soon as we had kind of made enough noise with the free bootlegs that people actually cared and want like they'd heard us on Hype Machine and been like, we want a Young Bombs remix. So it was pretty cool when our managers hit us up, being like, "Hey, do you actually want to get paid for this?" like, you know, like Fletcher wants a remix, and we're like, "What? Who?" And now she's like playing stadium. No, but yeah, it honestly really cool transition. Um,
And I think maybe part of the stress at first was just trying to find, because obviously we're not the singers of our songs, so we had to find the right collaborators, the right singers. So that was kind of, it's harder for people maybe to take a chance on you at first when you haven't put out anything, and then you slowly get to work it up and you put out some songs, and then people, you got some credibility in the scene. Like there's no way we could have had like Aloe Black as our first feature ever, you know what I mean? So, but like yeah, once we started finding people who we thought wrote top lines really well, and just kind of like vibed with us, then we knew it was like, okay, these are the batch of songs that we feel good about putting out. Because I think, like Martin's kind of saying, like we were writing songs the entire time we were making remixes, but we needed to make sure they felt like us before we put them out into the world, you know?
mm, mhm.
How did you find those people like Aloe Black and Darius Rucker? Like, how does that connection even start?
Well, the
Um,
Aloe Black one was a crazy story because obviously, like going back a few minutes to when we're talking about how we got started and how Avicii was one of our biggest influences. Obviously, his biggest song, "Wake Me Up," Aloe Black. Um, we always so we had the song "Better Day." We had already produced it out. There was a demo vocalist on the track, and he was great, but we knew we wanted something different, and we always imagined Aloe Black being on the record. And we were signed to Astral Works at the time, and our A&R had just been happened to be in the building having a meeting with one of her friends, and they're chatting about what project she's working on, and she's like, "Oh, I'm doing Young Bombs. They've got the song Better Day. They would love to get Aloe Black on it." And her friend was like, I'm buddies, like I'm really good friends with Aloe. Like, why don't I call him and play him the song? She's like, "What, really?" Literally puts the phone to the speaker, plays him the song, and he's like, "Holy, I want to cut this like ASAP, like tomorrow. Let's do this." So we got the phone call. We were on the next flight to LA, met up with Aloe, went to the studio and cut the vocal. And it was such a full circle moment for us, but
Mhm.
it was just so like perfect the way that lined up. Like that person happened to be there. It was almost like fate in a way.
Definitely
So that was really cool.
meant to be. And I like
Yeah.
how quickly it happened too. Like as soon as he heard it, he's like, "Let's do this now."
Yeah, but I mean it did take us a few years to get that one phone call.
Yeah,
Right? Because we were sitting on that song and we wanted Aloe, and then all it took was that to click that in that meeting. So yeah.
yeah. What about like Darius Rucker and all these other people that were on your initial album?
Yeah. Darius was a Hail Mary. Once
Yeah,
again, like we had that record, different vocalists, and we wanted Darius, and we were just like, fuck it, let's try. Like who's doing a dance song with Darius Rucker? And we shot his team an email, and they responded to our team, and they're like, let's do it. And honestly, Darius was one of the, I mean, Aloe was amazing. Darius was one of the nicest dudes we've ever worked with, and so receptive to like having us kind of work him through the song. It's kind of intimidating because we're there with fucking Darius. It's Hootie, man. Like this dude, he's a legend, and you're being like, no, can you sing it like this? Like, dude, and he was totally cool with it. Like, absolutely. Well, he's such a legend. But yeah, it was an absolute hail mary. Just let's see if he responds, and he liked the song, so he went for it.
it's also crazy that you make a song with a vocalist in mind,
Mm.
and then you just end up getting that vocalist before they even knew about the song existing.
I think with that one, I think the song was made, and then we were kind of like, who do we imagine being the
Mhm.
singer on it? And I
Mm,
think we had a short list at first, but Darius was always like at the top of
wow.
it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, there are some times where you do write a song with someone in mind, and there are other times where uh, it almost just works in some weird way, you know? And that's the thing too. We could have sent it to Darius and he would have been like, the song sucks or I
Yeah.
can't sing it or whatever. But, fortunately he liked it and he sounded fucking amazing. So it all worked out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you guys had another song called Starry Eyes that had like a children's choir on it.
Hmm.
And I always
Yeah.
wondered, like, how do you get a children's choir for your song? Is
Well,
it
you go
real?
yeah, you go to a school. Don't drive there in a van. No, just kidding. Bad joke. Uh, yeah, I mean, there is choirs that you can hire. Like those kids are all paid. They're all on the song. It's all done in the paperwork. But
Yeah. One of our co-writers, I think his sister was the teacher, right?
yeah,
She was the choir teacher for these kids. So they were able to get the kids to sing it. And I mean, it elevated the song to a whole nother level. Now those kids are making money for the rest of their lives. So
Yeah.
living the dream.
Residuals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. How did you guys start doing shows? Because I know you said you had a few shows before you even opened for Chainsmokers.
So yeah, basically off only a few, like maybe two, because it was really early when we did that one. But it was just off the success of the bootleg remixes. We got an agent, um, and yeah, they're like, "You're gonna go play these bars," and they were rowdy like college bars, and it was super fun. We got
Yeah.
yeah, it was just fucking party. Um, but that's yeah, it's kind of how it all started. Like literally, like those remixes kind of were the air that like just got the project to life. Um, yeah, it's really interesting looking back on that actually.
Yeah. Do you guys have any specific shows that you played that were like favorite or more memorable than others?
I think one that always comes to mind is this festival called Festival d'été, which is out of Quebec. It's like a week long, and they get various bands from all genres of music to play. The year we did it, it was like the Chainsmokers, Foo Fighters, uh, Gorgon City, Tory Lanez. But we got the invite and we played it. I think we were on at like 5 or 6 p.m. So by that time, the crowd was pretty packed, and it was maybe 50,000, maybe a bit more, but it was more than we'd ever played for, and I think still to this day, it's probably the biggest crowd I've ever played for.
It was insane.
Um,
Like bigger
and
than yeah, yeah,
I
biggest.
don't know. We're like, you hear a lot of people say like, oh, like the bigger the crowd, the more like stage fright or nervous they get. I think we're the opposite though. If we're playing for two people, like we're like the most depressed people ever, just staring down. But give us a crowd of 50,000. I don't know. We just feed off each other and we just get super hyped. So I mean, it was so fun, and just seeing the crowd react to the music like in real time, like all those people jumping was crazy. So it still lives in my mind rent free. I love that one.
Yeah,
And Lollapalooza was a great one too.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that was great. We did the Perry stage, and yeah, just another one of those massive crowds, and just a great audience that really appreciated dance music. So
mhm.
it was super cool, and we
One
got
of
free
my
dance.
one of my favorite shows though has to be in the earlier days that we're talking about. Like before that Chains show. We played some shitty bar somewhere and we're DJing and I turn around, I'm like, where did Tristan go? And he's fallen through the stage. He's like, help! Like in a hole. It's so
It was
funny.
a really weird stage because we were standing on like a plank, remember? And then there was like a
Yeah,
random,
yeah,
there's like
like a
nothing behind
balance
us.
beam. Like who fucking does is this like
So
the
they were kind of
Olympics?
like, yeah, just watch out. And we were like, okay. But then you start drinking and jumping and you don't. And then, yeah, I fell
Yeah.
through and
This guy's notorious, so we'll finish a set and it's like he's gone to war. There's like bruises and like I'm like, where how did this happen? Yeah.
It's
I
kind of
think
like
I'm
the
in.
music video where you were hit by a car.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
You had
exactly.
like blood out of your
Just
nose.
blood coming down his face.
for
Just
sure.
yeah.
Tell,
Oh, God.
tell me about that. How do you put together a music video? I'm assuming there's like a whole team and
Yeah, it's a big process actually. First, you got to kind of figure out, okay, what do you want to do in your video? Like, what do you want the video to be like? And then it's a matter of then talking to different directors, seeing their visions for that, like seeing, trying to, if they align with your vision, seeing which director could execute that, and then yeah, series of meetings based on like look, feel, all that, and budget, and um, yeah, it's a group effort for sure. But usually we like to have a sort of vision kind of leading into it, and that one was was the best. Yeah, I can't even remember anymore. The Better Day video was so funny,
We
man.
used to be very unhinged on Snapchat and
Yeah.
Instagram, so I think a lot of directors saw that and they were like, "Okay, these guys probably deserve a really ridiculous treatment." And that was we read through them all, and that one was like, "Okay, we beat each other up.
They're all-
Literally hit you with a car. It's so funny.
That feels on brand. Let's
Yeah.
do that."
Yeah.
And
Oh man.
yeah, it was a pretty good video. It turned out good.
yeah, it
Mhm.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out Lily,
Yeah.
That's the writer of the video.
the writer and the director. She had a lot
What?
of she wore a lot of hats out on that video. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
super awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Similar to that, how does your production process look? Because I'm assuming you guys don't do the same thing. Like someone makes the music and someone. Does it make sense what I'm
Yeah,
asking?
no, we both do.
Oh, you
So
do?
it's
You
fun.
both?
Yeah, we're both producers, so it's fun because some days, like, one of us will do a whole thing or just start a thing and send to the other, or vice versa. And we've been working together for so long now that it's almost instinctual. Like, we'll hear what needs to be done, the same. Like, oh, and we'll be like, oh yeah, yeah. Like it's a pretty cool kind of experience. But we both write, produce the whole thing. Um, but sometimes songs will start with a top line that's been sent to us, like a song that's already been written, and then we just do the production. Other times it starts with us in a room with a notepad and another vocalist and just coming up with melodies, lyrics, and writing the song from scratch. So all songs are a bit different in how they're born, but some start with a kick drum. I don't know.
And end with a kick drum. They never
And
get
then
any.
with a kick drum. Or a clap. Yeah.
So there's no like specific process. It could be really any kind of
No,
start. Yeah.
it can be any kind of start. We
Hmm.
do like to start a song with chords though and try and figure out what the feeling we want to get out of the song first. And then we'll kind of sprinkle on top the rest of the music.
And do you start on the computer or do you start with like a physical piano or guitar?
Um,
Kind of a
everything's done.
mixture. Like I think we start with Logic open, but like I have a MIDI keyboard here on my desk, so it's kind of you kind of need both parts. So like you'll play something, you'll pull up a sound, and you're kind of finding sounds and writing melodies all at the same time, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then hopefully you stumble on something you like, and then take it from there.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about the remix process? Have you guys even made a remix recently?
Funny
We
enough, we just finished one
Oh no way.
yesterday
yeah.
that hopefully will be out in a couple weeks. Um, but it has been a while. We do maybe one every year,
Oh wow,
and
Mhm.
so it's special.
yeah, like we did a Griffin one last year, and I think that was the only one we did. Although
Mhm.
we
We
remixed
we've
our own song
Yeah. We've done
twice,
some, like, fun mashups, and, we like to like, do mashups, but then also kind of remix them ourselves, like,
like the
change
Taylor Swift one.
yeah, like, we'll do vocal chops, but it'll be, like, someone else's instrumental with, like, a Taylor Swift vocal, and we'll fuck it all up. Um, so we like to do that, but we haven't really officially released anything since the Griffin one. Yeah.
The good
We
thing
like
about
to
remixes too is there's not as much pressure to, I guess, like, hit these certain marks. Like, is it going to be a big streamer? Do I have to, promote it on TikTok every day? That's kind of up to that artist and that record label. So with a remix, you can kind of just kind of go a little crazy and just make something that sounds fun and cool, and people like it cool. And if they don't, it doesn't really yeah, you can go to sleep at night, but you can experiment a bit more, I feel like. Whereas with remix, or sorry, with originals, they're more your babies, so they have to be like absolutely perfect, and they have to, check a bunch of boxes and everything before they come out. So
Hmm.
yeah, remixes are kind of liberating in that way.
I never even considered that the promotion of the song doesn't really fall on you, right? It's more so on the original
I mean,
artist.
yeah, like we've always promoted our remixes, but at the end of the day, you're getting a flat fee for it. So, you know, your work's done after that thing's sent in. So,
Yes.
but like at the same time, it is your reputation, and you are building a fan base. So, you do want people to hear it, and you want it to get out and all that. But yeah, um, and a lot of times with just casual listeners, people don't really attribute a remix to the remix artist. Sometimes they just attribute it to like the primary artist. So I think that's that pressure too. When it's an original, it's like, it's a young bum song, so you have to really make it count a bit more, I guess.
Yeah.
Or yeah, whatever.
It represents you and your whole brand and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah, because people know
For
it's you.
mhm.
There's no hiding behind anyone else.
No. It's- you guys have a very signature sound, and I've always wondered, how do you make a signature sound, especially when it's two different people like coming together to make that
Yeah.
sound?
Yeah, yeah, that
Like,
is interesting.
yeah.
It's that's just the offspring of both of our minds coming together. Um, but there would be like, I would say, when we come across a sound we like, for example, like a snare or whatever, something that sounds distinct, we'll put it in a folder and just we'll use that same sound as much as we can. So
Mm,
that kind of common theme. But then it's also probably just comes down to also the way we treat our songs, the way we how much reverb we use, how we cue them, our style of melody writing, like all these kind of little things add up to this sonic footprint,
I
if
think
you
it's
will.
taste. It's just like
it's yeah.
it's just
Taste.
what I think you naturally do the thing you want to hear, the thing that you're attracted to, and I'm not throwing any shade at like bass music, but we don't make bass music because it's something we're not. It doesn't come natural to us. It's not really our thing. Um, and we don't listen to it as much as we do, like, the artists who influence us and our music. So I think whenever you're listening to artists and you're getting inspired, that inspiration is going to seep through you into your music. And Martin and I, in a lot of ways, like a lot of the same stuff. Luckily, we're
Hmm.
very much on the same page with a lot of things.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, very
except
true.
except one, and I'm trying to think who. We have a couple differences.
I'm
That's
trying
why
to think who too. Yeah,
it's impossible to have everything in common. So yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
How do you guys go about marketing your music, or is that something that you guys even do? Is it more so like a team behind it?
Oh, 100%. More than ever now because it feels like you have to. I mean,
Mhm.
there's so much competition just to get heard. I mean, what's the number, Tristan? How many songs are getting uploaded or released on Spotify every day?
Changes all the time. Last I heard was 80,000 a week.
That's crazy. That
It's insane.
Ah, it makes your head hurt, and you're like,
Yeah.
how are we gonna stand out here?
Makes you not even wanna make music anymore. Like,
But I
how is
mean,
anyone gonna hear me? But yeah. Sorry, continue, Martin.
no, yeah, it's more important than ever now. So yeah, we're just constantly having to put the songs on like TikTok and Instagram and try and come up with things to make the song get seen and heard, right? Um, but yeah, it's crucial now. Like you can't just rely on a record label to get your song heard. Yeah, because ultimately, if the song's been doing well prior to release, like pre-saves and things like that, Spotify likes that, and they'll put you in playlists and you know,
Mhm.
yeah. So it all counts.
you got to play the game. Can you
and God
talk a
plays.
little bit more about how everything has changed? Because you guys have been putting music for a long time, since like the
Mhm,
SoundCloud days. Oh, what
mhm.
do you think has been like the biggest changes you've seen?
Well,
Probably, I was
no,
going to say maybe the impact of social media.
Oh
social
yeah.
media, social media. It's gone through some waves because there was a while when like the SoundCloud era was dying and everything was just like strictly streaming. Things like that we used to do, like those bootleg remixes and stuff. Like no one was really going to SoundCloud anymore for that, or like Hype Machine or something like that. So there was this weird moment where everything kind of had to be an official or an original, or it wasn't getting really any attention. But now you've got TikTok and these other platforms where you can just show the world anything. But it's more short form, if that makes sense. So I mean, it's always changing every day. But
That's
Mhm.
very true, though, too, with that whole short form thing, because now you have to market one little section of a song. So when you're promoting a song, you're constantly thinking, what's the catchy part? What's the part that people will edit their video to, maybe, so it can, get traction and people can hear it.
mhm.
So it's like little things like that. And playlisting is a weird one too, because I think like a few years ago, it was a lot of tastemakers. So if they genuinely liked your music, they could throw it on one of the big playlists. But now, if you don't have the TikTok streams to back it up, it's kind of like, sorry. So you
Mhm.
really have to prove that a song has legs before it even comes out.
Mhm.
And that's like a thing that I've noticed a lot of artists are pretty upset about, because it's even impacting artists who are like big,
Mhm.
like they're putting out new music and they're upset that their new music isn't getting the reaction that their old music did. And yeah, so we're all, it's just, it's just like a big war right now. And I mean, you either have to play or just get out. So we try our best. We make videos all the time, and yeah, hopefully something takes off. That's always that's our morning anxiety. Hey, Martin, you
Yeah,
post
it
like
is. It is
10
because
a.m. and
it
you're like,
feels like it
this is the
feels like
one. This is the one.
it sucks because it does feel like it's more about this viral content versus just creating music and like letting the music speak.
It is
You know,
because
if you're not an animated character on social media, then it's kind of hard to get that music heard. Um, mhm.
amongst the 79,999 other songs.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I did notice you guys are been doing this. Like you found that one snippet of your song that's coming out March 15th, I think.
Mhm,
Yeah,
And
mhm.
you make a bunch of videos behind it. I'm like, how can I find this song? I look it up and it's not out yet. It's just
Yeah,
building up the hype, right?
yeah,
yeah, exactly. I think there's quite a few hundred videos of like people have made little videos on TikTok using the sound, but like you look at some of them and they've got like 100,000 hearts, like tons of views, and it's like it's great exposure because the song's not even out yet, right? So we just want to kind of keep building it up now before yeah, before the release.
Yeah. Get the
Mhm.
pre-saves.
Yeah.
mhm.
I keep looking at all these statistics, like the number of monthly listeners and numbers of streams for this song. But like, what actually matters? Because like the number of streams you have may or may not matter. It's like, does that make sense?
Mm.
What I'm asking? Like, what
Yeah.
actually matters as an
Yeah,
artist?
I mean there's artists that stream very little but will sell out mass venues, and they just have a smaller niche, really dedicated audience that are diehard fans, and they'll support that artist and all similar artists in that genre of music. um so streams matter, but they're not the end of the world, you know um it's just more so building an audience and building like a community of fans that like and support what you do. That's like number one.
Is
Hmm.
that what matters to you guys as young bombs as well?
Mm. Yeah, no, definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely, yeah.
For sure.
The community,
Hmm.
the people
Yeah.
that would like actually come and see your show too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Wanted to ask a little bit more about what the release process is like. I know we briefly talked about your song that's coming out March 15th. Like, how do you go about creating that song and then saying, okay, it's going to come out on this date, and we're going to make this content leading up to it?
Mm.
With the release date, there's a lot of factors. Like I think initially the idea was to put it around December, but Christmas and everyone's busy, so then it got delayed to the new year. And then Bryn Christopher, who's the feature on the song, I think had an original coming out in January or February, somewhere kind of in that area. So we ended up having to push it to March so it didn't collide with the song that he's putting out.
Mm.
So it's there's compromise, you
Mm.
just got to find that right area that works for everybody and the record label.
It has to work for the label too. They have to
Yeah.
have that availability that day. So
And then marketing, Martin and I do a lot of it ourselves, but we have people at our label who have ideas as well that contribute to it. Uh, I mean, in the past, we've worked with some of those companies who like help you market your TikToks and stuff, but we try to stay away from those now because if it doesn't feel authentic to the fans, they're going to realize that it's not you. So we try to just have it feel like us and have the ideas come out of us so we don't feel, ingenuine to everybody. Um, but yeah, I don't know. We when it comes to like TikTok ideas, I think if something makes me laugh and makes him laugh, we're like, all right, we're gonna do that. And
Mhm.
that's kind of it. Yeah. I wish I had a deeper response to that question, but
yeah,
it's
you
pretty
nailed
basic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it.
awesome.
Crushed it.
How do you guys feel about making a song and then sitting on it for so long before you actually put it
Ooh.
out?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Yeah,
It's a
because
roller coaster because you'll be like, "I love this," and then you're like, "I still love it," and then you're like, "Oh, fuck, I hate it." And then, it goes in these waves, because you start working on other music, and then you forget that initial excitement you had for that other song because you're more into whatever that you're doing now, but at one point, you did love that other thing, right? So it's like the releases don't come out as fast as we make the music, so we end up getting backlogged with all this stuff, and then it's like having to pick between your babies, like which song do we want to release now? So that's kind of been a struggle for us recently, is just trying to pick, like, okay, do we want to go this way? Do we want to go that way? Um, mhm. And then everyone is different. You'll show your buddies your music too, just to kind of see what everyone's feeling. And then there's always going to be no, like you said earlier, no one's always going to love the same stuff, right? So it has to ultimately be like what we love the most, and if we agree on a song, then it's the way we roll.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you both make a lot more music than you put out.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
yeah, oh man, over the years, we have hundreds of quarter finished, half finished, almost finished songs just
full finish.
that'll never see the light of day.
Yeah. And some are really good. Like, we would love to put them all out, but it's just
Not all of them.
not all of them.
There's some that can die on the hard drive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is true. Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know. Maybe one day we'll just do a Dropbox link and just throw everything on there.
everything.
Everything that
Yeah,
we feel good about.
yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen some artists will claim that someone hacked their computer and stole all their unreleased music
that's
Yeah,
good.
and then
We
put
good
it
should
out
idea.
there.
Should
yeah,
should have said that on here.
gonna steal that one.
I'll put that out.
Yeah,
Um,
Just cut that segment out
yeah,
of the video and no
exactly.
one
Yeah,
will know
yeah.
we had that
And
convo.
yeah.
but this is a question for both of you, like individually. Is there one thing or one or two things that you see as the hardest about producing, like issues that you constantly run into?
Mm.
For me, s- sometimes you're just not inspired. And I do think that is a cop out. Like, you really need to create inspiration, whether it's like go out for a walk or, even doing something that you think might be mundane can inspire you somehow. Um, but I fall victim to it quite often where I'll sit at my computer and I'm just like, I have no idea what I want to do right now, like what I want to write. Um, and that's the biggest challenge because once you do find something and you hit that stride where you're like, okay, I'm thinking this is pretty good. I can speak for Martin. We can both sit at a computer for 12 hours a day and just like tweak one sound or EQ one
Mhm.
part or try to make that build up sound better or whatever, just because you're so passionate about what you're making. So
Mhm.
that's the easy part. It's just getting started is just always a challenge. What
Mhm.
about you, Martin?
Problem I run into, system overload. um, yeah, I would say it's like the releases, the speed at we can release music gets me frustrated when I'm making music because you're kind of like, I'm gonna make this, but is it gonna come out? I don't know, fuck. And then you move on to the next thing because you're like, I don't love it enough that it's gonna make that cut. So I don't know. I like to work pretty quickly with that because there's just no sense in wasting time on something if it's not gonna make the cut. But yeah, starting is sometimes the case. Some days you just don't feel it at all. Other days you have 500 ideas. So yeah, the problems change. I wouldn't say it's one problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
Mhm.
can't be easy making on all this music that you really like, but it's not 100% there. So you just need to move
Mhm.
on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. No, totally.
If you guys had just met, right? And you had not done any kind of band or duo together, what advice would you give yourselves? Like in this day and age, I know everything's very different than when you first started, obviously.
That's a good question. Man.
Mm.
Just be super authentic. Like, don't follow the trends as much because when you create something that, like, has your own identity in it, fans will pick that up and be able to recognize your sound out of the 79,999 other songs in the world. Just, like, having your own specific thing that's your specialty, that's your sound. Um, yeah, and just, like, nailing down, like, the brand. Um
Also, don't choose a band name with the word young in it because you're eventually going to be young and you're going to look back and you're going to regret it.
Yeah, that's sound advice.
Do people
Yeah.
ever comment on that?
No, we like to do it ourselves just to get it out of the way. Middle-aged bombs, let's go.
Dude, it's always okay, it never stings, but the first one always stings. And the first one was when we started. I was 29, you were 27. And that was like year one of Young Bombs that we posted a photo. And I remember one fan wrote, not so young to me, or something. And it was like, bro, we just started. And we were already getting roasted. It's like, sorry, we didn't start at 21.
Yeah.
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 No, we go by the name Middle Aged Bombs now in our amongst our close friends, and
Yeah.
we all embrace it.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, it works for a lot of rappers are young or Lil something.
A
Young and
little,
low.
yeah.
Yeah.
YUNG bombs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Lil
Um,
Bomb.
I've noticed you guys, we talked briefly about the importance of having like a community, and you guys seem to be really good about responding. Like in the DMs on Instagram, that's how I contacted you. I was really surprised that you guys even got back to me.
Mm.
That's always been one of the most important things. I feel like if you put yourself in the position of a fan, if I was messaging an artist and I was saying like how much I love them or their music or whatever, I would feel so good if they replied. You know what I mean? And I find it so funny that artists don't take the time to just go through it. It doesn't take too much time. Just like even you can find a day of the week to just kind of blast through them. I mean, it makes people's days, and it's funny because you have these artists who aren't even at the top who won't do that, but then like I heard Taylor Swift still like messages every fan, like she goes to their houses, and I don't know, she's like next level of, and I mean it shows, right? Like look at the impact it's had on her career. Like her fans have this connection to her, so we're just trying to follow the Taylor Swift model.
I like it.
But no, yeah, no. I again, if I was a fan, I would really appreciate a response from an artist, and I wish we could have done that back in the day. Like, man, if the 2000s, if I could have messaged like Green Day and they could have replied to me, like that would have blown my mind, you know. And now you can do that kind of stuff, so I think it's super cool.
I agree. I made my day definitely just to like see a response from you guys.
So
Just to wrap it up, I want to know what does the future look like for both of you and for the project Young Moms.
mm, well, we got the song dropping in a couple weeks,
Yes.
so yeah, and hopefully this remix. And we'd like to get back on the road. We've kind of taken a break from touring, just kind of been focusing on records and um, yeah, honestly, excited to play some shows. We've got a tour coming up in Canada that we're starting to build out this summer. And yeah, that's like a big item for us. It's just getting back out playing shows because that's what we love doing the most. Um, aside from making music, obviously, the two only. Yeah. Um, I don't know what else.
I think you covered most of
That's
it.
enough for me. Yeah.
Okay, sweet, good, good, good. See you
Perfect.
guys.
um, this has been a really good interview. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. Real quick before we end, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
um, March 15th, All My Love featuring Bryn
Yeah.
Christopher dropping on all platforms. So if when is this airing?
This will air. I don't have a specific date yet, probably in the next week or two. So
Okay.
right
Well,
before
if
it
you
comes
hear
out.
this interview,
Yeah.
pre-save the song, please.
Yeah.
And
Link down below.
yeah, link down below and follow us. Make sure to follow us on all the, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff.
Awesome.
Just at
Martin,
Young Mom.
Christian, thank you both. This has been really good.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It was fun.